Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, I've come down to Flowerwood Nursery in Loxley, Alabama. I've pulled a lot of Southern Living Plant Collection pieces together and some Encore Azaleas, and I'm going to show you some things that I think would work great in containers. And you'll ask, why would you want to put a shrub in a container? Well, for some of you, a lot of these things aren't going to be hardy, and so you may want to be able to have them, but also be able to winter protect them. So keeping them mobile is a good idea. Something like rosemary that I'll show you, the Chef's Choice rosemary. It's only hardy into zone 7, and those of you in zone 6 would love to have rosemary, and so it can be grown in a container and then winter protected in a garage on the coldest nights so that the container doesn't freeze. Other reasons were just to create height differences. If you buy a lot of plants that are similar in height, similar in shape, but elevating them in a container immediately creates some height differentiation and some interest. Plus, decorative containers are quite nice. It might be that it's on the edge of a patio, or it's a particularly wet area you're struggling to grow things in. Setting something in a container, in that space, you're able to landscape it, but not worry that the whatever drainage issue or that kind of thing is going to cause you a problem. Something else I've talked about many times is when you put a plant in a container, you do lose some cold hardiness. The top of the plant is generally much more cold hardy than the roots are. And so when we elevate something in a container, you're going to lose some of that cold hardiness that plant has, because the container could potentially freeze solid. And so if you don't know your hardiness zone, it's easy to Google. You can Google plant hardiness zone and your zip code, and that'll tell you what zone you're in. If I tell you that this rosemary is hardy in zone 7 to 10, if it's in a container above the ground, it's really probably only hardy in zone 8. In zone 7, you're going to want to winter protect it. You're going to want to move it into a garage. You're going to want to keep it from freezing solid. If you're putting it out in open space, like out by a mailbox or something, you could lose as much as 2 hardiness zones. So keep that in mind. You want to, if it's something you want to put in a container and not have to play with in the wintertime, you'll want it to be at least 1 to 2 zones more cold hardy than your area. If it's not, it's going to need some winter protection. So let's get started walking through these. So I'll start right here with these Encore Azaleas. I have an autumn bonfire at my house in a terracotta pot that's quite nice. And I just like it elevated in the garden, and it blooms 3 times a year. This is autumn fire right here. This is a good one if you just want a low, kind of flat growing shrub. It'll get wider than it will tall, and it has the berry red, cherry red flowers on it several times a year. This is autumn sunset right here. Has a really kind of orangey red. This one's super underused. I really like that plant a lot. And then this is autumn sweetheart. Very large pink flowers. Autumn sweetheart and autumn lilac may have the best looking plants when they're not in flower. There's really tight, compact habit, but any of these will work great in containers. This is a fig, a dwarf fig called Little Miss Figgy. Those of you who want to grow a fig in a colder climate, growing them in a container would be a great idea. And this is a dwarf variety, so it can be kept a reasonable size for a prolonged period of time in a container. Next up is all the nandinas, and I shot a video recently where the person had used a obsession nandina and a little lime nandina in containers in the tour video, and I'll link that video down at the bottom. It really brightened up a part shade space. Blush pink here will turn red in the wintertime, but any of the 4 of them will work great, and they'll take full sun, but like I say, in the part shade conditions they work as well. The Loropetalum make great container plants, probably Purple Daydream and Purple Pixie. Purple Pixie will just weep down over the container, as you can see it's doing right there, and Purple Daydream will get a little wider than tall. The other varieties will make good container plants, but eventually probably outgrow any container. This is It's a Breeze Rose. Doesn't get a lot taller than it is here. It'll get wider. I've got one of these in the ground at the house. This is a very good repeat blooming, disease-resistant ground cover rose. I really have liked this variety. It came into full bloom at the house. I trimmed it back a little bit, and it's come back into bloom again. Orange Rocket Barberry makes a great container plant, and it's upright and narrow so that you can underplant it. That's good sometimes when you're picking out things for containers that you think about, that you can put other things in. Some of these more spreading plants are probably going to just be, one piece in the container. This is a color guard yucca, and it is super, super cold hardy. Much more cold hardy. You look at that plant, you think it's some kind of tropical. It's very, very winter hardy, up into zone 5. So it's make a great container plant, super, super showy. All of the Abelia in the Southern Living Plant Collection will make great container plants. All of them are going to have similar growth habits. Kaleidoscope turns into orange, more of an orangey color in the winter, and Miss Lemon over here. They all get small little flowers. The flowers don't show up on the variegated varieties as much, but these will brighten any space. And this is Miss Lemon right here. There's several grasses in the collection. I've used this Dianella right here in my in a container at the house for the summer. Beautiful blue-green foliage on it. And this is that Lamondra. I've covered this before. Beautiful plant. I've got it in a tour video coming up where it's been mass planted. Really beautiful grass. It will need to be winter protected for most of you, or used as an annual. So where the Lamondra has that really bright variegation, the Cordyline here, this Designaline Cordyline, has this really nice purple coloration on it all summer long. They would look great together in side-by-side containers. Of course, Sunshine Ligustrum is going to be great in any container, and these can be, you know, pruned any way you want to prune them. That's going to have that gold foliage year round, and they can be pruned into balls or pruned into cones, or you could limb it up into a small tree and underplant it with something else that would come down over the container. More sun it gets, the brighter the coloration is on that plant. This is a baby gem boxwood. Boxwoods make great container plants, and almost everybody can leave them outside during the winter because of their cold hardiness. Again, this can be pretty much, it could be cone shaped, it could be tree formed, it could be pruned into a ball, whatever you'd like. This is the Chef's Choice rosemary. It's a lower growing, kind of a prostrate rosemary. Doesn't get a lot taller than it is right there. It'll just get wider, gets the blue flowers on it in the late winter, early spring, and then of course it's a great culinary rosemary. And growing in a container will give folks in colder climates the opportunity to grow it and then winter protect it. The next 3 conifers here are going to be really good choices for lots of people. This is a pancake arborvitae, soft to the touch right here, blue-green foliage on it. Great plant. Just zero maintenance container plant, really. This is Dragon Prince cryptomeria. I've covered it pretty thoroughly. Let me walk around to it. Another one that's kind of soft to the touch, and just a nice plant. Grows like this on its own. Nobody's really been pruning on that thing. That's how it grows, that super tight, compact habit. This is Fire Chief arborvitae. This one is going to turn bronzy color in the wintertime, and then it's kind of a lime green foliage on it the rest of the year. Another great choice. All 3 of those conifers are going to get similar size in a container, and they can be kept whatever size you want to keep them. You don't have to let them get a whole lot bigger than that. And then this is Jewel Box Distylium, which I've covered on the channel. And this variety Jewel Box has a really super tight, compact habit. Going to lend itself really nicely to being grown in a container. So I have a video on my channel where I planted this purple pixie, Loropetalum, into a low bowl container at my old house. And I have the video on my channel where I planted my autumn bonfire Encore Azalea in that terracotta pot at the house. I'll link those videos down below if you want to see how I go about making my planting mix and planting things in containers. But just wanted to go through real quick and show you, some of the options. These are the toughest things in the collection that I think will, most of these things are going to be very forgiving. If you go to the beach and, make an error here or there, they're things that will tolerate a little bit of abuse in a container. So thank you very much for watching this video.